All right. It looks like we are live. And so let me go ahead and actually, um, while we're waiting on people to join us, I'm going to want to go ahead and just say hello to everyone who will join us later on. This is a broadcast that's going to be able to, people are going to be able to go back and listen to it later on various vehicles. But um, first of all, let me say hello to my guest. This is Kathy Tyler from In God's Hands Christian Youth Center. Kathy is the business owner at In God's Hands. And I am Dr. Vanessa Enoch from Cultural Impact LLC. And this is our inaugural podcast. And so this is our very first podcast, and we are excited to be bringing this particular podcast to you. What we'll be doing on the podcast going forward is interviewing business owners, people who have been in business for quite some time, and also people who are just starting out in business to just talk business, right? To talk shop. And so I have been a business owner for over 22 years. And from my understanding, Kathy, you have also been in business for 22 years. Is that correct?
That is correct. Good afternoon, Dr. Enoch. That is correct. I've
All
been in
right.
business for 22 years now.
22 years. Being that I've been in business for over 22 years, I've had bumps and bruises, ups and downs, and I know that you also have experienced some ups and downs. And let's talk a little bit about your business and tell me about what made you start a business. What made you want to start a business?
Well, I was working as a cardiovascular interventional technologist at University Hospital. I had been there for 20 years and I had been doing cardiovascular work for about 12 years. Loved what I was doing. And I became a member, got saved and became a member of a local church. And our pastor was teaching that we can't just sit inside of the church and ride by in our suits and go past all the things we see happening in the community and do nothing about it. We needed to get out into the community. So we began to have, and my pastor was Pastor Thomas Farrell at the time, we began to have service in our area park really close to the church. And we were at a prayer service in the park, and the Lord said to me, get up, clean up this park, and work in the community. And so I did. Now, that in particular park was drug infested. There were people selling drugs. It was supposed to be for kids, but kids couldn't safely go there. It was called the Pit.
Wow.
And at night, you definitely didn't, people just weren't around, and it was just not an area that was safe. There was a live railroad track that crossed in front of the park, no fence. Kids could just run up and see the train. And so I started to work in the community. And at that time, we were having huge issues with drug dealing in our community. So I started organized that we would start marching throughout the community. But first, we organized some, just asked people in the community if they wanted to help out. And we started to clean up the park. We cleaned up the park, and then we started to just kind of march and pray in the community for the drug issue that we were having. And in the process of that, I learned that this building that was next to the park was for sale, and I was listening, and then God said to me, open it up and clean it up, make it a place safe for children. And so it will be a great daycare, and it just resonated in me. And so I talked to my husband at the time and said, this is what I want to do. And so I moved forward and left my job from my 20-year job and entered into it became a business owner. So it wasn't something that I was looking for. Thought had this long vision and dream to do it. It was something that I was really called to do. And so that's how, so we ended up purchasing the building. And I was talking to my brother about what I had seen. And I just saw kids in, just God taking, protecting kids. And my brother at the time was in prison. He had just learned that he could draw, and he didn't even know. He was a grown person, but he didn't know he could draw. And he said, Kathy, call it in God's hands. And I was like, that's it. And it just, boom, And so he said, I can draw it. And he drew the logo that you'll see when you visit our website. And we opened up in God's hands. And then I wanted to be specific, Christian Youth Center, because it's dedicated to the Lord. And
Oh,
so that's in the short how the center began. And we actually watched God change the whole area around our center and our community.
oh, that is awesome. That's exciting.
Mm.
When as I was listening to you, I was thinking about how my own business name came to being. And it was a faith story. Mine was a faith story as well. I had a different business, and it was called Enoch Global Enterprises. And we had several businesses under that business. We also have several businesses under this one. But when I started my business, it was also something that the Lord gave me to call it, and really surrounding what we would be doing and where we would be doing it. And I'll talk sometime about that story. Really, I want to hear about your journey today. And, with somebody who has been in business for 22 years, I'm sure in that 22 years that you've learned a lot, you've had some ups and downs. When you think back on all of the challenges and everything that your business has endured over the years, what do you wish that you knew then that you know now? What do you wish that you know now that you had known back then when you started your business?
Well, Dr. Enoch, that's an interesting question. The only answer quickly that I can think of would be, I wish I knew what I know, what I learned in 22 years then. I mean, there's no way to explain. I can tell you what I know now. I know that God will take care of you and help you do what He plans for you to do. And
Mhm.
so Ephesians 1:6 became a mantra for me that, he who has begun a good work with you, will complete it into the day of Christ Jesus. And so I learned that God will walk with you. And if I can't even begin to tell you in a short session what I have experienced as a business owner in the city of Cincinnati. And so, but it's been the impact on children and families is what I love most. And so, and then watching staff grow, and you know what I guess as I think about that, a person says something to me that always has stuck with me as well, and that is people come into your life for different periods of time. Sometimes for a season, there's a reason, or it could be a lifetime. And that what the reason that they're there is always important, is always impactful. But so you learn that you're gonna see people come, see people go, see people grow, and that's important. So I don't know. That I hope I answered your question.
You did. Okay. So I'm hearing a lot of talk about faith. I'm hearing a lot about your journey and how your journey has been really a faith journey. And I wonder, how does all of that incorporate into the way that you operate your business? Does your faith impact the way you care for your children? Does your faith impact the way you teach children or the curriculum you use? Tell me about your business and what makes your business different with that context in mind. what makes you different from other childcare centers?
Well, it's certainly it's not we're not able to separate my faith from my business. It is you know completely connected. And so one of the things that I don't believe we're the only person that does this, but what I think we do well is our parent engagement and our parent involvement. Because if you work together for the best outcome for children, that's how children succeed. Um, I I would say that so how I teach children and how I interact with parents is based on the love of Christ. What we have to do is we have to accept children as every one of these children belong to us. And it's our responsibility to make sure they get what they need. And what was so important for me was that children that come into this center get quality care, even if they can't afford quality care. That was always important to me, that they would get the best care they could get, even if that they would get if they spent much more money, but because they may not have those resources, they still get the quality of care that prepares their children to be lifelong learners. And it's not rhetoric or cliche-ish, it's real. And so these kids don't belong to us. So my faith tells me that our kids belong to God, and we are just managing the resources that he gave us. And so we're responsible for what we do with our children. And so we should pour into them as much as we can. So I want to work with kids who don't have access to um, the best school in the city, and maybe they can't go through those doors, but they can come through this door and get the same quality of care. And then so we speak life to children. I think that's what else is important. Our children are exposed to different types of experiences that help them be able to hold their head up high and be happy and confident about who they are. And they know that they are wonderfully and fearfully made. They know that just that way they are is good because God made them, and that's good. And so we don't have to hide that we're a Christian center. Everyone knows that. We don't force it on anyone, but people come from all across the city to bring their children here because they know that their children are going to be life is going to be spoken through those kids, and not anything that would be detrimental to them. So I like that. I hope I
So,
answered your question.
of course, and so I'm assuming that you have several age groups in your center.
Yes, we are a full family, full service center. We have infants, and that's children that are 6 weeks until age 12. And so we have an infant toddler program, we have a certified preschool, and we have before and after school care and a summer camp. And so a family parent, single family parent, whatever, can bring your child to the center as an infant, and we can serve that family all the way through the time frame where they're actually should be, if we've done a good job, able to manage themselves well at home themselves. But then we also allow those families that have been supportive of our center, when those children get too old for programming here, they become like volunteers, or they're always in a safe place, but we even take them higher in terms of helping them be responsible and giving them some strong work ethic and those types of things. So we service the full family.
Okay, so I got a off the collar question. You know me, I gotta throw in some off the collar stuff somewhere along the lines. Okay, so do you whoop kids over there in God's hand?
Absolutely, absolutely not.
Oh, you don't whoop them. Dang.
We do not have the right to do anything that is the parent's responsibility. That's you
So
never
wait,
have the
you think
right.
the parents should be whooping their kids? That's what you're saying?
Well, how you discipline your children is very important, and so that gets into the household. What we do is show them how we manage children without ever putting our hands on them or doing anything detrimental to them. So
That's awesome. And tell
not.
me about how do you discipline children without using corporal punishment? Give me an example of a way that you might discipline a child.
I think sometimes people think of discipline as, just what you said before, whooping a child or hitting them or, timing them out. As a matter of fact, timeout is not even allowed. Timeout is so misused that parents would maybe put their kid in a corner or make them sit for 20 minutes. And if you take a child's privileges away, maybe they're in an area and they're maybe not following the rules of the area, you can say to that child, well, because you've already taught them the rules of the area and what we can do and can't do. And so you redirect children. You don't punish them. You redirect them. And then you allow natural consequences, which happens, if this is the area that you're in, if you choose to leave the area, someone else can come in and then it's their turn, so you're not punishing children, but you're redirecting them. You're giving them some guidelines and they have to have boundaries. And then being consistent is extremely important as well.
So
So
you
it's
must not have Bebe's kids over there, because that don't sound like something that you can do with Bebe's kids.
Well, that's not true because, first of all, we as parents, a lot of times you'll say, he's so bad. Well, you never say that. Children live up to your expectations. And so he might be very busy, but you don't want to say you're bad. And so you redirect, you find out what that child likes, what you have to get to know the child. So you have an individual plan, an individual learning plan for each child. You know what makes them afraid because you've talked to those parents, you've gotten that information before they come into the program. You've also brought them and transitioned them in a way where they're not terrified and afraid. And you get to know the child. And the other thing is sometimes we have expectations for young children that most adults can't do. And so when you over expect, your expectations are higher than what the child can manage, then it's just not going to do. It's not going to be a good situation. So there's more to it than just saying you do this, you do one, two, three, then you're disciplined. But mostly you want to redirect. And then a lot of times we punish children for things that are our fault. Come on, we got to hurry up. You're not going fast enough, but you didn't get up in early enough in the morning for them to get ready. Or you'll see a child walking down the street and the mom's, come on, come on, come on. That child's learning, but you don't have time to learn. Let's go. And if we would just take time and do better in our scheduling, we would not be rushing children into the day. So I've seen children come into a classroom and it's been 20 minutes from the time they opened their eyes, got up, got dressed, and they're wished. And then you wonder why they're all upset and they're frustrated. And when you know that that's an issue with the parent, that's something you work with the parent. So it just takes time. You have to build relationships. That's what's important, is building relationships.
So you're building relationships with the children, you're building relationships with the parents. So it's okay. And do
Yeah.
you have any interaction with the school? You do take care of school age children as well,
Oh
right?
yes, we partner with the schools. One of the schools that we always service is Woodford Paideia, and we take our children there. If we have a child that needs that has an IEP, or we're on that IEP team with that parent. We don't leave them when they go to school. We're a part of that team with that parent all the way through
Okay, so
until we
let me
see.
go ahead. Until what?
No, no, until they're not, maybe they disenroll because of age or whatever. Where it's constant. It's not something that goes away. It just depends on where is a child at that time, and what that's what determines what they need. So when the kids come in from school, we're not just, okay, you're here from school. We carry on and become an asset to help that teacher carry on and be consistent in what they're doing at school also. It really is a team. If you can build a good, strong parent team, your child will be successful.
Awesome. And you know what? I'm going to stop just for a second and have you give us your address and your location. I'm here again with Kathy Tyler from In God's Hands Christian Youth Center. Kathy is a client of ours at Cultural Impact LLC. We are a full service consulting firm offering consulting services for businesses of various sizes. We also offer training and development. So we can assist with all sorts of business challenges, whether it is filing business taxes or developing websites or just basic consulting in the area of marketing or what have you. We have a team of about 10 consultants that work on various aspects of your business. And so, Kathy Tyler, tell us where your business is located.
Okay, In God's Hands Christian Youth Center is located in Kennedy Heights on a street called Zenzel, and it's at 3808 Zenzel Avenue, and our zip code is 45213.
So that's 3808 Zenzel Avenue. And what's that zip code again?
45213.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so now that we know where you're located, I have been sitting here wondering about the shirt you're wearing. Your shirt says lay it down. That's often what I tell young people when they're messing with something that doesn't belong to them. But tell me what your shirt means.
Well, as we are all aware, we have an epidemic of gun violence in our country, and especially in our city, Cincinnati. And years ago, it's not been something that this is something that just happened. This has been ongoing for quite some time. Years ago, the Lord put on my heart to do an initiative to decrease the gun violence in the city. And the shirt, the theme of that was lay it down. And it was actually an initiative to get kids to kind of be aware. And I'll try to point it down a little bit
Oh,
that what we do in our communities is important. And so we are that the initiative is quite extensive. It's not something I can give, in a 2 minute comment, but it's actually involves more than just wearing a t-shirt, but actually getting churches and community organizations to work together to deal with the access that children have to guns. I think we don't talk about that enough. There's always supply and demand. So if there's a demand, where is the supply coming from, and why aren't we dealing with that? There's many aspects of it, but that's what In God's Hands is about. And so I'm hoping to see people with this shirt on, because we need to say to our kids, lay it down. Another thing that's extremely important, when you learn about gun safety, we can really understand why kids kill one another. There is so much information that's needed to safely handle a gun. And so there are many parts of the initiative, and I'm looking forward to working with anyone that may want to be a part of helping rid and decrease, not decrease, we eradicate our children killing one another in our communities. Lay it down.
awesome. Awesome. That's good. So I love the fact that you are community oriented, that you are all about developing relationships. And that is definitely two things that at Cultural Impact that we value. We value being part of a community and enhancing and helping communities, which is why we do what we do as consultants. Our work is definitely surrounding making the community a better place, providing jobs for people in the community. Um, are you hiring? Are you looking for staff?
Absolutely.
What?
Absolutely. One of the things that we experience, uh, COVID has been extensive, has affected people extensively in many, many ways. But early education was always had an issue with not having enough qualified staff. And the pandemic has just exasperated that to a even greater level. And so we are definitely hiring. We are looking for people who are driven to work with children, that can be good team players, that love working with children, don't see it as a chore, but as an enjoyment, a part that they really, most people that really want to work with children can't not work with children. They have to, because they're driven to do that. And so we have teacher positions available. We have assistant teachers, and then we have our cook. We're restaffing our entire center after the effects of COVID, and we also have are offering to try to help with that problem of not enough qualified staff. We have developed an apprenticeship program, so you can actually come to our center and join our team as an employee here, get continuing education to go as high as you'd like to go, and the cost will not be out of your pocket. And so that's a benefit that is extremely valuable. And so there's many other, we're a flexible center. We want to work with people who are either interested in part-time or full-time employment, and we're just looking for people that want to do early education as a career.
So let me ask you this, because I know that there are parents, maybe even young parents watching, and I know when I was a young parent, I have two adult daughters now, but when I was a young parent, I relied on people who were experienced in working with children to kind of help guide me along the way. What's some advice for parents, young parents who are looking to make sure that their kids go as far as they can in life, that they are academically prepared to go to school? What's some advice that a young parent might do at home to prepare their children for the world and for learning environments for school?
Well, when you look at early education, that's the whole key. Early awareness is so important. The most important aspect of your child's life is real. Preschool is extremely important, but the years before preschool are even more important. That's where you build the capacity for that child to learn. And so I would always advise parents to have a center that is a resource to you, not a place that's just taking your money, but a place that will partner with you, that will grow with you as they grow, you grow, that are interested in seeing you do better in life and your child do better in life. And you have to really, take the time to look for the right place. And once you find that, I think early education should be a resource. It should be a resource for parents, and it should also be something that they can count on. And so, since especially if we're talking about single parents, if you're a single parent, you already know that it's a lot, and it's hard to do that alone. And so, any resource that you have is going to be valuable and necessary. So, early education gives you the comfort to know that your child is being prepared. You're not being prepared by someone you don't know, but you're partnering with them, and they've taken what you want and they've taken that into account. They're not doing what they want with their child, your child. They're doing what you decide you want with your child. And so that is extremely important. That's why early education it's it's just pivotal. I mean, it just is. I don't know how else
So
to answer that.
that's awesome. I appreciate that response. And I want to go back to the Child Care Center as a business, because you are a business, and this podcast is really directed towards people who are interested in starting a business, or people who already have a business and they're looking to grow and develop. What are some of the things that you might have over the years that you found value in reaching out beyond your own four walls, your own business? I know you haven't done things alone in a silo in the 22 years that you've been in business. When have you reached out for help? What kinds of things have you reached out for help for? And how has that valued or benefited your business?
Well, I think there are resources in our community that help us do better as uh, early education centers. So initiatives like Preschool Promise, um, there are different organizations that help assist centers. Um, there are challenges that we face as African Americans in business, regardless. And that's just a reality. And so you have to have yourself prepared before you launch out. Your credit score is extremely important.
Mhm.
Um, being able to get the resources that you need monetarily are going to be, uh, affected by things like that, your credit rating and what have you. All of it can be overcome. And so it's not something that if you don't have a good standing right now, you don't stop. But we work with parents and people in the community if they want to help them get to that. So I want to say that we've overcome many challenges just because we have put our nose to the ground, not expected everything overnight, been willing to not be on top, but grow to where you can be stable.
Mhm.
Um, and you can't do that without working with banks and your accountant. My accountant is awesome. Um, you can't do that without working with those types of resources. So you're gonna reach out. You can't do it in a silo at all. But
Mhm.
you are gonna feel like many times you're by yourself. So you connect with other directors or people that are doing the type of business that you're doing, and find those resources that are out there because there are many. Um, you know.
Awesome, awesome. And we do bookkeeping. We have a bookkeeping service. You've been with your accountant for many years, but so we wouldn't try and pull you away from that. But we're happy to partner with you on your web development and some of the other things that I know business owners need that you've reached out over the years. I saw that I was just at your center yesterday, I think it was, and I saw the gentleman who was doing your landscaping at your business. And, business owners, as business owners, we are an extension, or we have an extension, a whole community that we rely on to help us keep our business going and to keep things afloat. And, one of the things that we like to do in partnering with our clients is look at the entire business and identify ways that that business can grow and develop. And so we don't just do taxes. We don't just do bookkeeping. We don't just do websites. What we do is look at what overall is going to help this business grow, what's going to enhance what they do and how they do it. And so we put a strategy in place and then we help execute on that strategy. And so it's been exciting working with you on your website. And I'm hoping in a couple of weeks we can come back and talk about that website and talk about the enhancements that we have implemented over and above the website that you had previously, and talk about the context by which we do that and why we do the things that we do on your website, because we'd like to be able to ensure that the website is useful for you, right? And useful for your business. So I want to come back and talk about that at that point. But we are coming up on the or towards the end of this program, this podcast. But what I want you to also do once again is share with everyone where your business is located, the name of the business, and how someone can get in contact with you if they're interested in enrolling their children or if they're looking to get a job at your facility. How do they contact you?
Well, currently we are in the process, and I'm so excited to say this. I'm excited about our new website. And as you're aware, we're in the process of doing that. And so right now, you can give us a call at 513-792-0905 if you're interested in employment or enrollment. You can also reach out to us by email at ingodshandshr@gmail.com. And we will be excited to let you know when we're launching our new website, which you will be able at that time, thank God for cultural impact, that you'll be able to enroll online, you'll be able to get hired online, or get it set up for interviews and what have you. And everything will be there at your fingertips online with our new site. And I do want to say that it is a pleasure working with Cultural Impact because, just like you said, Vanessa, Dr. Ina, you respected that I had already had a good relationship with my accountant, but I was able to see so many other ways that your business helped my business. And so I just encourage anyone that needs any type of help with their business to reach out to Cultural Impact.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And you can also find at the bottom of the screen, scrolling, our website at www.cultural-impact.com. www.cultural-impact.com. But we actually have many websites. The other website you can find us at is www.cultural-impact.net, which is our technology division. And we have services where we offer do-it-yourself web builders and at reasonable cost. And so anybody who is looking for web development, and we're going to talk more about our web development services in a couple of weeks when we have Miss Kathy back and talk about some of the changes that we made to her website. And we'll talk more about the services that we offer and how you might be able to have to get some of those same services. But you can also contact us at 513-525-6259 for consulting services. And if you are visiting us on Facebook or YouTube, Twitter, wherever you're watching us, we're asking you to please like our page, share our page, because we've just developed a whole new brand. And so we are developing and growing brand new pages. This podcast is part of that new branding. And we want to bring as many people as we can along for the ride and, show people how we've stayed in business and some of our strategies over the years to do that. Today was all about Kathy Tyler, In God's Hands. And so we're excited to hear about your reopening after COVID and your new staffing plan, giving people an opportunity who are interested in working with children, a place where they can go and know that children are going to be getting the best care and they'll be able to get the best training. And tell me one last thing about that training. I know people have to have a certain credential when they work with children. Do they need a credential to come and work at your center?
If you enter into our apprenticeship program, you can start that with a high school diploma. You have to have a minimum high school diploma, and then we can get you into the first phase, which would be getting a CDA or getting your associate's degree. And remember, that is without the huge out of pocket cost that you would do that without the program. And so minimum high school diploma. There are also opportunities for someone that wants to become an assistant director or even a director. So we have many opportunities in our apprenticeship. Just reach out, give us a call at 513-792-0905.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I want to say thank you again for being part of this podcast. And I hope you'll be able to join us again in a couple of weeks. We'll be doing these from time to time. And so I'm excited that you were our inaugural podcast. We're going to be talking to business owners who have been around for a long time. And so anybody who is interested in being part of a podcast, we would be happy to interview you. Please reach out at 513-525-6259 or check us out on the web at www.cultural-impact.com or cultural-impact.net. So again, thank you so much, Ms. Tyler, and
Thank you.
In God's Hands Christian Youth Center. And what part of town are you in the greater Cincinnati area?
In Kennedy Heights.
Kennedy Heights.
Yes.
And
Pleasant Ridge area. Yes.
At 308
3808 Zenzo Avenue.
3808 Zenzo Avenue, Cincinnati, Ohio. Well,
Yes.
awesome. I hope that you will have a wonderful grand reopening, and that as school is getting ready to start back, that parents will have a place that they can bring their little ones to. And I guess last question, I forgot to ask you, how are you keeping children safe during the pandemic?
We are following the guidelines set forth by the CDC. We are making certain that we follow those guidelines, and that's with our parents and our children. And so those, all of our efforts there will be accessible on our new site. You'll be able to see exactly what we're doing, but we are following the CDC guidelines to keep kids safe.
Okay, does that mean children are wearing masks in the center?
It depends on the age of the child. So okay. Every child can't wear a mask, but it depends on the age of the child.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, but it's just masking, hand washing, temperatures, the different things that you do to make sure you don't enter into the center ill is important. And then also the other things we do for cleanliness, which is just everyday normal for us, but that helps to make certain that someone that's asymptomatic isn't passing things on. So there's quite a few things that we have in place to make sure that kids are safe.
All right. Well, thank you so much again, and I look forward to talking
to you.
in a couple of weeks.
Thank you.
All right.